Good afternoon, you ruddy lovely people. You are all very welcome along to the Lilywhite Lane YouTube channel, and you're also very welcome along to your match debrief for yesterday's game that did finish Fulham 2, Tottenham Hotspur 0. That was the full-time score at Craven Cottage. That's our 19th loss of the season in all competitions and our 15th in the Premier League. It can't go on like this, can it? It can't go on like this. I mean, really pathetic performance again from Spurs yesterday. It's not just the fact we've lost as many games as we have, it's the performances in a lot of these games. You know, the Alkmaar first leg, the Ipswich game at home, the Crystal Palace away game earlier in the season, the Leicester game at home, and you could go on and on and on and on about our performances and how horrific they've been in a lot of these losses. And yesterday was the same. First half we offered nothing of any substance, lucky to be going in at 0-0. Second half we picked up our performance for about 20 minutes. Didn't really test their keeper though, or do anything to really gain momentum or push on to get a winner. And Fulham punished us towards the end. They were the better team, looking at the entire 90 minutes. Moniz with a good finish, and of course Ryan Sessegnon is the man who puts the game to bed. And yesterday we looked like what we've been this season, a bang average bottom half of the table side. That's what we've been, that's what we are this season, and that's exactly what we looked like yesterday, and that's exactly what we've looked like in so many games. We're a bang average bottom half of the table side with the occasional sprinkle of class. Once every while, maybe once every couple of months, we put in a good performance or score a couple of good goals and get a win. You know, earlier in the season we were inconsistent. Now we're pretty consistently bad, with the occasional anomaly of a good result, a good performance and a few good goals. What I'm seeing as a Spurs fan simply isn't good enough, and I don't understand how any Spurs fans can be behind this manager anymore. I really don't. 15 losses in the Premier League, 19 in all competitions. This man's had 300 plus million spent on him. He's had more backing than the previous managers of this football club, and he's done a far worse job. To teams like Brentford, teams like Fulham, you know, teams like Brighton, do they have better players than us? No, they don't. But why are they above us? Because they have managers who have more of a tactical understanding than this fella, who have proven it at a higher level than this fella previous to joining their football clubs. Most importantly, they get the most out of their players. They play them in their correct position. Does this guy do that? Does he bugger? Does he bugger? Antonio Conte got this Spurs team into fourth with players such as Eric Dyer, Davinson Sanchez and Longley at the back. You're telling me this guy's getting 15 losses with Van de Ven and Romero, Porro and Udogie? Telling two wing-backs, which is what they were before they joined Spurs, to come into the midfield. The tactics just don't make sense to me. But Ange yet again had a bust up with a fan yesterday. Yet again had a little hissy fit, didn't he? Now, to provide some context, right, it's not done enough by Premier League clubs. You see it a lot abroad. You know, players and managers going over to fans and the fans slate them and the players and managers try and apologise. We don't really get that in England. You know, you go over and clap the fans whether you've won or lost and that's it. But fair play. Despite how bad his performance was yesterday, Matisse Tell goes over to the away fans. Some are swearing at him, some are screaming not good enough, and tries to talk to them. He says something along the lines of, we need you, we need to be together. And whilst I sort of think, you know, don't tell the fans what they need to do. They're paying the money, supporting the team, and they're getting fed this rubbish. You're in no position to tell fans exactly how to act when they've tried to support you and they've been let down time after time again. But having said that, at least he's going over to the fans trying to have a conversation. It's about building that connection between players, manager and fans. Newcastle have it brilliantly right now. You see it yesterday, players crying when they won that trophy. Would any Spurs players cry if we won a trophy because of how much it meant for the fans? Probably not. Probably not. That is a club right now where there's a real connection between the manager and players. So fair play to Matisse Tell for at least trying to get a little bit of that. It goes to show how bad our leadership group is though when a 19-year-old on loan who's been putting in poor performances recently comes over and speaks to the fans. But Son, the ultimate leader, is nowhere to be seen, and Ange Postecoglou is nowhere to be seen. But Ange Postecoglou reacts to a fan. It wasn't a fan who started swearing at him and going mad. It wasn't a fan who started insulting him personally. No. He walks through the tunnel and a fan starts talking to Ange Postecoglou and saying, what the hell was that? What was that? And Ange Postecoglou gets riled up by that. I mean, this is why this fella will never, ever manage in Serie A or La Liga if he can't deal with that. You imagine having to deal with, going over to the away fans or the home fans with your players and getting slated by the ultras. And after a pathetic 2-0 loss, which makes it our 19th loss of the season, a fan says, "What was that?" with maybe some explicit language in there. And Ange turns and starts saying, "Have some respect." Mate, you're in the football business. You've said it yourself. You've, been a football manager for 27 years. This isn't the first time it's happened, though. You got us into a position, mate, at the end of last season where we couldn't achieve anything and then had a go at fans when they didn't want Arsenal, our biggest rivals, to go on and win the league. You had a go at fans after the Bournemouth game earlier in the season. It's happened countless times with this fella, man. There was another one at home, I can't remember what game it was, but it keeps constantly happening and he can't deal with the pressure from the fans. It's not like these fans, if this guy said, something about your wife or your kids, very entitled to go in there and nut him in the head, but when he's criticising, the state of the club, saying, "What was that?" Well, what's wrong with that? I agree with him, what was that? That fan has likely paid a lot of money, taken time out of their Sunday, right? Not at home, tucking into a roast dinner with their family, I presume. And they've taken time to pay money and go and watch that absolute pile of pygmy hippo feces that you and your team have provided. And he's not entitled to ask you, the manager, the one who's meant to be getting more out of what we're seeing, what was that? Patronising git. Think you've got so much of a better understanding of football than every other fan. When they criticise you, it's not on. He comes out and says these little sly things in press conferences as well. And it does my head in. Does he occasionally come across relatable? Yeah. But I find him a lot of the time patronising and condescending to those who pay his wages effectively. No fans in the stadium, you can shut up about support, mate. They're the ones going there, taking time out of their day, paying money. And one asks, "What was that?" And you have a little hissy fit about it. This fella's in his 60s, man. You think he'd be a bit more grown up than that, don't you? It really gets to me, that, though. It really gets to me. Fans, or, managers criticising fans. It's something that's always wound me up. Always got to me, man. And those that don't tend to have a better connection to the fans. Eddie Howe, perfect example. Yeah, has a hissy fit. I mean, fair play to tell, but as I say, it goes to show when a 19-year-old on loan is showing more leadership qualities than your manager and your captain and any other player out there. I thought there were so many pathetic performances yesterday. Romero, one eye on the international break. Of course he does. He cares so much more about Argentina than he does this football club. Other performances, on that pitch, Gray in the 6, I expected a little bit more. I actually didn't have a problem with Ange playing him there, but he was really, really poor. And he needs to be better. What I did have a problem with was Ange not starting with a number 10. I don't understand it. Where do you expect the creativity to come from? I don't get it. So you're playing Tell and Johnson, two players who are going to make runs, and you're not playing a creative player to find him. Instead, you're going to play 2 8s and a 6 or 3 8s. It doesn't add up to me. Who's the one playing the ball forward to the wingers? No wonder we didn't create many chances, because there's no creative player on the pitch. Solanke's holding the ball up, but who for? Who's going to pass it back to play that ball out wide? There's no one there. I just don't understand the tactics thing. He's got to stop inverting the fullbacks, keep playing the high line, but he's not going to change. He's not going to change. I mean, Danny said something in the stream a few weeks ago, and, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It was on Tottenham away, and I think he could be right. Maybe on one of the reasons as to why he's just so set in his ways about things. If you have people who who have what he was talking about, it does make sense. It does add up. But look, that's a conversation for another day. There's just no willingness to adapt, whatever the reasons are for that. There's being so set and stubborn in his ways that he refuses to change. And first 10 games of the season, it was new, it was different, it was working. After that, team has figured us out, and since November 2023, for the most part, it's been pretty poor, and it's got progressively worse as more and more teams have figured out how to go on and get a result against us. Yeah, the manager has to go for me. The owners are the biggest problem. I keep saying it. if this manager's here, I'm not confident at all that we can win the Europa League. People keep saying give him time. You know, we've got Frankfurt and Lazio next, and I'm watching them two teams, and I'm thinking, are we gonna get any? Are we gonna get through against them with Ange? With another manager, we've definitely got a chance. But I'm watching us get outplayed by Fulham. I'm watching us get outplayed in that first leg by Alkmaar, and it just makes me think, I'd love us to win the Europa League. I'd love to be proven wrong. I'd love to see Ange Postecoglou lifting that trophy and hugging fans at the end of the season. And if he does, fair play to him, credit where it's due. But I really, really can't see it, man. I want to see my club successful, and I can't see it happening whilst this fella is here. I think things are only going to get worse as they continue to. I mean, if Everton go on and get a result and Man United get a win, when we come back from the international break, we could be 16th. Same with West Ham if they get one. And the fact that some will still defend this, I don't understand why. I don't get based on what. But that's my take on it. Give me your thoughts and opinions on everything that happened yesterday, the performance, what Ange said to the fans after. Do you think he was well within his right, or do you agree with me that he was throwing his toys out the pram? Comment down below all your thoughts and opinions. I'd love to hear them on the game and everything that happened yesterday. Take care of yourselves. You guys have been awesome. I've been Robbie from Lilywhite Lane. Take care. And as always, Enoch and leave you out. Come on, you Spurs.